In this video, I will be taking you through the process of a woodblock print. Ukiyo-e is a genre of Japanese art that flourished throughout the Edo period. It developed from the styles of traditional Chinese painting, ultimately becoming its own uniquely Japanese art form. It is characterized by its bold, flat lines. The earliest prints were done simply in black and white. Eventually, a process for printing in color was developed. Production of these types of prints typically happened in 4 parts and were handled by 4 separate parties. The designer was the first step. They would compose an image and hand it off to the cutter, the person who would be tasked with the role of cutting the actual woodblock. The image would be imposed onto a piece of hard wood, and the cutter would cut out the negative space, leaving a raised surface where the ink would go. The third step is the printing of the block itself. Ink is rubbed onto the block and printed onto a piece of handmade paper. And finally, the last leg of the process was the publisher. They would publish the piece and sell them. Woodblock prints were very commercialized, and so publishing became highly competitive and very important. At the peak of its popularity, there were over 200 publishers. My process differs slightly from that of the traditional Japanese style. Typically, the design would first be done on paper, and then that paper would be glued on directly to the block. The original design would then be destroyed in the carving process. I use a very soft type of wood, compared to the traditional hard cherry wood that would have been typically used. The soft pine wood is cheaper and easier to carve out, making creating thin lines more difficult. I also use a different type of ink and inking process. The ink used in traditional wood prints would have been made of powdered pigments and water. And black would have been the same ink used in calligraphy. These inks would have been brushed onto the surface of the woodblock rather than rolled on, as you see in the video.